What's up, guys? This is Jay from Evolution Radio. Gonna talk about week 3. We got the main slate ahead of us, um, targeting in on a few games. Definitely looking at the Chiefs Ravens game, and I guess some people are interested in the Cleveland uh, Rams game. I don't think that one's worth it. But there's definitely a few games that could potentially turn into something bigger. So, if you listened to me at all last week, we did the Thursday night show, and if you followed what I did, God, I apologize because there for a second, man, we were up. Um, right after Leonard Fournette made that 76-yard run, I looked down at my DraftKings and I was up in the like 4,000s. I'm like, oh my God, I just turned this into 4,000. This is great. And then they let Mariota have all those trash points, and But hey, we won like $100. So look, off of $3, which is typically what I do, that's great. You can't really get a better deal than that. So I'm just gonna kind of break down some of the positions, some of what I'm doing, what I'm thinking, um, and for the most part, we're gonna talk about quarterbacks. There's obviously the main two that everyone are going to be looking at, and Patty Holmes and Lamar Jackson. I would say if it were me, I'm playing Jackson maybe triple the times that I'm playing Patrick Mahomes. The cost isn't that big a difference, but that $600 you can play with in other places, and Lamar is going to be running more and most likely playing from behind. So it's going to be a high scoring game, and going one way or the other, I don't think is a bad idea. Um, they're both, either one, I say is great. You want to start one of them at least in one or two lineups. Um, but yeah, I personally went Lamar. Uh, the next one to look at be Dak Prescott. I think everybody wants to take the time to just like go off on Miami. And right now, when you look at Dak Prescott's mental state, he is just showing the NFL that he is worth that contract. There's definitely been a lot of talk about him not being an elite quarterback, and I think he's trying to prove it that he is. He's just been going off this year, and against Miami, look, I mean, Dak, I wouldn't sleep on that one. You're saving like 1,000 off of Pat, few hundred from Lamar, but it's a good play. A couple other ones that I'm not shy about. There's a few. So at 5,900, Josh Allen, he's been great. He's been a great quarterback because he runs. He's been getting involved throwing the ball more. Just fantastic for your money. The other one in that range at 5,800 is Kyler Murray. Um, he's been two consecutive games over 300 yards. He hasn't put together the touchdowns in every game and hasn't gotten the running down, but the other stuff has just been fantastic. 300, you can't argue with that. Um, Averaging around the 20, 22 point fantasy points. It's a good play at 5,800. See if you want to go any lower than that. Matt Stafford, he's a pretty good play, 5,500. Not bad. They've been, the Lions were running the ball. It's gonna be carry on, it's gonna be CJ. It hasn't really been that way, so they've been throwing a lot more, and it's been a lot of Galladay is how it's been, and so Stafford's a good play here. Let's see, further. Some people might say Jacoby Brissett. I think you'd get your money out of Jacoby at 5,200, but I don't exactly love it. And I'll tell you one that I'm debating myself is Daniel Jones. I mean, he's 5. It could definitely play out. Um, we haven't seen anything from him. Always it was preseason, but he's gonna be in Tampa Bay. they're not a great defense, especially that secondary. Definitely something to look at. Uh, Teddy Bridgewater at 47. I think that's a pretty solid play. He's gotten more reps. Seattle does not have the best pass defense, and yeah, you could make a lot of things work with him at 4,700. And the other one, and I don't even know if I can honestly if I can find him because he's gonna be complete bear. Kyle Allen, Carolina, 4,000. Um, he's playing in Arizona, so he's not gonna be playing against a really good defense. We know he's gonna be starting in place of Cam Newton. Uh, why not? That's definitely points. He could surprise you, do some stuff that you don't see happening. I mean, God, honestly, it's not like we've seen a lot out of Cam Newton this year. So not a bad punt, so to speak. Running backs, running backs. It's a mixed bag this week. So, if you're obviously Saquon is someone you got to be looking at. Like we just said, Tampa Bay has a bad defense. They're starting a new quarterback. It's gonna be, Daniel Jones' first start. I'm sure he's gonna be looking a lot at Barkley. Elliott. Elliott is going to destroy Miami. Anyone playing Miami is always going to be good. So, we're talking about Elliott, who puts up just a ton of points. I'm not. I'm really not big on McCaffrey. And I think that's dumb. I think McCaffrey will do well. I think I just kind of got shell shocked from the Tampa Bay game. But part of it is he's just $200 cheaper than Elliott. And for the money, I say if you're going to pay up, go for Elliott. Um, and in that sense, like Alvin Kamara, he's not a bad play. Um, and he's someone you might be able to sneak in there, especially with Bridgewater. Kind of going back to that whole like new quarterback feel. But in the Alvin Kamara range, and actually a little bit cheaper, I'd go Austin Eckler. Eckler's getting a lot more touches. He's doing a lot more with the ball, and they're for sure he's going to be a bigger point um, of, of attention for Philip Rivers, namely because Hunter Henry's out, and so he's definitely going to be someone you look at, and it's a 72, so you're actually paying down a little bit. I've seen talk about David Johnson. I don't know. I don't love it. He just hasn't been performing really. But this could be his game. So don't completely just write him off. Marlon Mack. Uh, Atlanta is notorious for having just awful defense against the run and running backs, especially running backs who can catch. So Marlon Mack at 58 is a really good pickup. Um, Another one in that range at 5,900 be my boy Carson or Chris Carson. Not just because I'm a Seahawks fan, but also because Rashard Penny tore his hamstring, or not tore, sorry, injured his hamstring on Friday, and so he is most likely not going to be in the game. And so that's all Carson. So it's a pretty good option there. He's against New Orleans, who is really iffy on running backs. Couple other ones. I'm not feeling Joe Mixon. I don't think he's. Matt Breida is always a pretty solid option. I know he had kind of a rough start, but Josh Jacobs at 5,300. That's a. Yeah, I mean, I don't think you're going to hurt yourself playing him. Uh, Oakland has kind of made sure he's there every down back. So that would be one definitely pretty safe. Devontae Freeman. Um, Also, because just on the opposite side, Indianapolis has also been really bad about run defense. And Devontae Freeman, Atlanta, I think that's a pretty good play, especially at 4,900. Arguably my best play until you get down to the 4,400 mark and Frank Gore. And I'll tell you why. Devin Singletary is out. It's all about Frank Gore. and he's 4,400. Last week he did like 19 points, and that was on the backside of Singletary being hurt. They're gonna use him a lot of ground and pound. At 4,400, that is fantastic range to pick him up. Going any cheaper? There's a few guys. The running backs just are, Miles Sanders, maybe. I don't know. It's possible. Tony Pollard is another one that you could think about doing because, after Dallas beats up on Miami for a while, they're probably going to take out their starters. So maybe he might get a touchdown or two. He might be worth looking into. Another one that I kind of also been playing around with in lineups is the running back from Kansas City. There is Darwin Thompson. You know he's going to get the ball. Well, I wouldn't say get the ball. We know he's going to be in the game. Um, the Chiefs, Williams, he's out, and Shady is questionable. Even if Shady wasn't questionable, with Damian Williams being out, you can't keep Shady in there the entire time. So he would still get some more looks. He is their true number three. So he'll do some stuff, and I mean he's down at 3,000, so it's a pretty big game or a pretty low risk gamble on that one. Um, and yeah, and like I said, both guys from San Francisco, they're a pretty solid option. They're gonna make some noise, uh, but I think that for the running backs that kind of does it. Receivers, on the other hand, there is a huge pool of receivers. And we'll just start at the top. DeAndre Hopkins, of course. he's he's always a good option. Devontae Adams, yeah. Cooper, yeah. Michael Thomas, there again, another good point where you got to start. You got a young quarterback, not a young quarterback, but young to the system quarterback. He's going to go with the number one receiver a lot more than anyone else. So he's a good option. Julio Jones, don't love Julio Jones to be honest. Um, my issue with him is the fact he's never, I think only once in his career has he scored double-digit touchdowns, and I don't know. He like especially I know it's weird, and I shouldn't use this as a way to justify not playing him, but um, he scored last week. Yeah, it's a gut feeling, just for the money, but there again, a lot of these guys, it's for the money, because I think you definitely in that range you want to be putting Keenan Allen in. For me, he's an easy chalk play and should be there. Um, Chris Godwin, I don't know. For me, Godwin's priced a little high to play him. 6,900. It's not horrible, and look, I'm not gonna hate if you run with him, but just one I would think about. Sammy Watkins. I've heard a lot of people say, "Oh, he's gonna bounce back this week." No, because he wasn't ever that elite. It's not a bounce back. He hit a peak. All right, we talked about this. Kansas City Chiefs receivers are so hard to pick. Mahomes just throws to who's open and where he can get a pass. I would not put as much into Watkins as what some people are suggesting. I definitely would though with Adam Thielen or Kenny Golladay. Definitely Golladay. Golladay has been just the staple in that Lions offense. He's definitely worth it at 6,600. Tyler Boyd, it's a great pickup, great play. Um, then going down, my number one pick, the guy I definitely love in this is Marquise Brown. I think you got to be playing Hollywood Brown. He's against Kansas City. He's 5,900. He has just been on fire. I have no idea why they have him at 5,900. Like all those receivers I mentioned, sure. Brown, he's been great. So why would you not play him? Um, you know, uh, Tyrell Williams, he's all right. He's the number one receiver out in Oakland, but Oakland doesn't throw the ball very much. John Brown, love John Brown. He's doing great things in Buffalo. Josh Allen seems to really like him, so he's a pretty solid play. John Ross in Cincinnati. I like him more than I like Boyd in a lot of ways. To be honest, he's done more. Um, I would say like Mecole Hardman isn't a bad option in Kansas City just because of his price. Like I would target some of these lower guys over Watkins because there may not be a huge difference if you're talking about the Chiefs Ravens game. Christian Kirk is not a bad play, definitely. Sterling Shepard, I like Sterling Shepard. 4,900. This Tampa Bay Giants game, it might be bigger than everyone thinks it's gonna be. He is kind of the number one receiver, new quarterback. He's gonna be, kind of filling that situation. I do like his situation, his position, and I also like Emmanuel Sanders. A lot of people aren't talking about Emmanuel Sanders, but 4,800, that's a pretty good option. Going further, you'll have to deal with my Seahawks fandom because I like DK Metcalf at 4,700. Russell Wilson has thrown the ball to him a lot. I think he likes his size, he likes his hands. Um, he's a really good option, personally. Randall Cobb, I think, is also a pretty good option, just because Gallup's hurt. Um, so Cobb is going to be in a bigger role. There's quite a few receivers on this list that are definitely good options. Fuller is a pretty decent option. Um, Sutton to an extent. I think Pettis is going to have a comeback, by the way. I don't bet on him, but just scrolling by him, I think that he is definitely going to bounce back here soon. I would not bet on it being, you know, tomorrow, but I definitely will. And Danny Amendola, that's the last one that I have at 3,800. Real cheap, real low. He's gonna do some good stuff in Detroit. Moving on, tight ends. I don't know why you even have to talk about it, to be honest. I think Evan Ingram, Mark Andrews. I personally, Mark Andrews, that's the guy. Why would you not? He's the hottest tight end in the league right now, and he's going to Kansas City. Enough said. Like, I don't want to almost double his salary and go for Travis Kelce. Kelce, he's not been awful, but I wouldn't pay up for him. If you paired him with Mahomes, whatever, I'm not going to hate on that decision. I don't know. I wouldn't do it. Zach Ertz, he's been great as well. 5,700 is not a bad price tag for him. Kittle, I think he's a good GPP right now, and I know it's crazy, but he just hasn't been blowing up like he did last year. But I do think he will have that comeback game, and it's got to happen soon. So Kittle's not a bad option. But Evan Ingram, 5,200, especially there we go. Talk about the young quarterback, probably going to be looking like very robotic first, second, third. There we go. Evan Ingram is going to be in his rotation. He's probably going to be first or second. And so if he's even remotely open, he'll be getting the ball. Like I said, Mark Andrews, I don't need to explain anymore. When we're talking big name offense, we and they're going into Kansas City, we always put money on that team. Um, Waller's okay. Vance McDonald's okay. There's not a lot of options, to be honest. I think Ebron is going to come back. Same with OJ Howard, but again, I don't think it's anytime soon. And if you're looking for a pretty cheap play at tight end, by the way, the two that I recommend, uh, and I know I want to say Will Disley, but no, I'm a Seahawks fan second when I do this whole podcast. But first would be Jason Witten. He's quietly been just catching touchdowns, just amazing. And then the other one who I really don't see why he's 3,500 because um, honestly I would play him in flex. I would think about it anyway. But is T.J. Hawkinson? I would definitely think, and I know I would never like what it's crazy to put a tight end in flex, but he's been doing big things and Stafford loves him, and he's 3,500. Like that is really cheap for someone who is, you know, just looking at his stats. Um, yeah, yeah. Granted, last week he wasn't targeted as much, um, but I think he was. Yeah, let me see here. Yeah, I mean, he only had 3 targets. It was a rough game, though, to be honest. But he, targeted 9 times, targeted 3 times. 3,500 though was not bad for him. Anyway, in defenses, I say Dallas or New England. That's really it. I would pay up for defenses. They're worth it. Um, Obviously Miami, they just gave up. Um, and New England has such a stout defense, and they're against a third string quarterback. Yeah, I love Le'Veon, but I just don't think it's. Yeah, I don't think he has anything. I think if you want to go any lower, I would go Buffalo at 34, and that's the only thing I would trust. Anything lower than that, I don't trust any of them. Um, it's just not. It's definitely not worth it to go that low. Um, Everything else is such a big risk, especially when the price gap isn't that big of a difference. You're gonna be in that 3,000 range anyway. Push it up I mean, at the bare minimum, push it up for Buffalo. I would definitely get it up to New England. In Dallas, yeah, I don't know, but definitely New England. Anyway, that's what I got, guys. Love to hear your lineups. Love to hear how you guys do as well. I will be on DraftKings, and yeah, we're gonna release another video probably mid next week. We'll probably do Thursday again. I don't know, have to look into it. But yeah, let me know how your lineups did. Uh, the YouTube um, channel is the Community of Ideas. Well, we're just doing everything on there. All right, it's a fun little place that I'm kind of working on right now. It's real slow going, but it's something away from the main show. And then on YouTube, DFS Football Weekly, and been putting that stuff up there every now and then on Facebook. So anyway, thanks a lot, guys. Have a great Sunday.